evening, everyone. Yes, it's actually morning. I'm doing this in the daytime instead of in the evening. Today is February the 20th of 2022. This is episode number 8. So welcome back, and we're going to get right into it. The title of this segment is, If You Control What a Man Think, You Do Not Worry About His Action. If you control what a man think, then you don't worry about his action. So that is the segment we're going to be discussing. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about Kim Potter. Okay? Kim Potter was a former police officer in Minnesota. And she killed a young black man that was 20 years old by the name of Daunte Demetrius Wright on April the 11th, 2021. Well, she was sentenced the other day. She was sentenced by a judge named, let me make sure I say her name correctly, Regina Chu. It was located in Hennepin County, Minnesota. She was found guilty by a jury of first-degree manslaughter. Okay. She has already served 58 days in jail. She was given only 2 years, 24 months. This is her sentence. 24 months. And she only have to serve in prison 2/3 of that sentence. Meaning that she only have to be locked up for 16 months and probation period for another 8 months. This is her sentence for killing a young man that she and other few officers pulled over on a minor charge at first, I believe, but they stated it was a warrant out for him for his arrest. That's why he was being locked up. But it was nothing to the point where he should have been killed by the end of that arrest. She pulled out her gun instead of her taser and shot and killed this man where the bullet went into his heart. And he died on the scene. So, a juror of her peers stated that she was guilty of first-degree manslaughter. She was guilty of first-degree manslaughter. She will be released as of April 24th of next year, 2023. Almost to the anniversary date of Mr. Wright's death. So, the Judge Chu, stated she says that Officer Potter did not mean to shoot Daunte Wright. How you know what was in her mind? You don't know. You assume because she's a 26-year veteran on the police force in Minnesota that they say she served her state admirably, honorably. She's an honorable person. That's what everyone who wrote, the judge and reference, she said it was hundreds of letters for Miss Potter. So based off of that and her tears that she displayed in your courtroom, you said that she did not mean to kill Daunte Wright. Now, I was listening to Mrs. Potter. I'm sorry, correction. Mrs. Wright and Mr. Wright, which are Daunte's parents. And they was in the courtroom, and they gave a heartfelt reason on why she should be given the most highest sentence. Because even with the sentence, if they would have given her the most highest sentence, and I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, the sentence should have been 86 months that the prosecutor was trying to seek for her to serve, for Miss Potter to serve. 86 months. But she still would have been able to come home and be with her family once again. Whereas the Wrights will have to experience this loss for the rest of their life. Their family, their friends, and Daunte's son, who was only a year old at the time of his death. So, no amount of time that would have been given to Miss Potter would have been enough to replace the loss, the tremendous loss that they have experienced, the Wrights family. But they at least deserved, due to the guilty verdict that was found concerning Miss Potter, the 86 months. But she was only given 2 years. And Judge Chu stated that due to the circumstances that she think that Miss Potter did not mean to, like she know what was going on in Miss Potter's mind at the time in the act when it took place. That she did not mean to, so she have a right to what they call it, downward departure. They call it a downward departure, meaning that she can give a sentence of up to 24 months because of her service rendered of 26 years and her not meaning to shoot Mr. Daunte Wright. Well, I'm sure the family don't agree with that, this verdict. Me personally, coming from a mom's perspective, knowing that I have 3 beautiful sons, I wouldn't agree with it neither. So, I give, again, my condolences to the Wright family. I send it. And I will pray. I will pray for you. Just like I will hope that someone will pray for me and mine. That you can one day I don't know if you ever will be able to really get over this, because it's something that you just can't get over. The way of this world and how things are set up when it comes down to a black man or a black person. It's just atrocious. But again, I give you my heartfelt condolences and my sympathy for your loss. And I hope that anyone who wants to chime in on their understanding of this case, and if they want to make a comment, please by all means, leave one below, and I definitely will respond back in kind. So let's move on. The topic again, it says, is if you control what a man think, you do not worry about his action. And this is a quote that was written by Carter G. Woodson. And I told you who Carter G. Woodson in my last podcast. So please, if you have to, go back and look at my last podcast, which was episode number 7. And that will inform you of who he is or was. I'm going to read some of his quotes so you can understand what he meant. And then I'm going to go into what I think is necessary, why I think this topic is necessary to speak upon. And again, we're still in Black History Month, so this is for that as well. Okay? If you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his action. When you determine what a man shall think, you do not have to concern yourself about what he will do. If you make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. If you make a man think that he is justly an outcast, you do not have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told. And if there is no back door, his very nature will demand one. That's saying a lot about what's going on out here in the world when it comes down to us as a people, meaning Black people. Some of us still have that mindset that we are inferior, that we are not deserving, that we are unwelcomed. And yeah, so what, they may think that. But that should not be our mindset. We are intelligent beings who have the fortitude and the right to achieve anything and everything we see fit for ourselves and our family. We have a right to pursue anything that create wealth for our family, so we can give generational wealth and pass it down to our family, and so on and so forth. We are worthy above anything and everything that anyone say we're not. We are a worthy people. We are intelligent beings. We are human beings that are greatly deserving, just like anyone else. We need to instill this in our hearts and our minds and pass it on to our children. We used to have story times back in the day when we was growing up. Our elders would tell us great stories of their childhood or their experiences. And through those storytelling, they would pass on some knowledge, some wisdom that you should carry with you throughout your life, and you pass it on to your children and grandchildren and so forth. So these traditions can stay alive. So we would know who we are as a people. So we have an idea of where we want to be at in life and what we want to leave left behind. I'm going to tell you, my grandmother, she was born in the 1930s, the early 1930s. And so she came up in the era through segregation, the Jim Crow. She was born in North Carolina. And my great-grandparents moved here to Maryland, in Harford County, Maryland. And they raised 14 children. They lived out there. They bought land. I believe it's either 50 or more acres back then. And they worked it. And they raised their children on it. And they lived by a certain standard. To me, that has not been replicated since their passing in our family. Because the land has been sold off, and now, we are so divided as a family. We're not together with the way we should be in some sectors of the family. It shouldn't be sectors. It should be one. And I know we all, are grown and living our lives, have our own families, immediate families. And we're just trying to make it. But we have to, in my mind anyway, I think that we should try to keep that glue together, that family unit. And that's what will help us to keep on growing and prospering. We have to also feed the mental with knowledge that will hopefully transition to wisdom, that will keep us motivated and in the knowing of who we are. So we can keep on growing and growing and growing. Generational wealth is important. Generational fortitude is important, knowing who you are and be proud of who you are. Always be proud of who you are, mainly if you stand for something. Because the old saying is, if you don't stand for something, then you will fall for anything. Let's not be that people. Let's not show that to our children and grandchildren. It's like the children out there now, they blowing in the wind. They don't know which way to go because they don't have that standard that used to be in place in our culture. Because they don't have certain people in their lives to help them, to show them, to guide them, to love them, to teach them, and to motivate them. We need to get that back. We need to give that back to our youth and bring them out of what's going on out here. They have this attitude of not caring about self or others. They don't care if they die in the street. They just trying to get what they can get because that's only what life is showing them. We got to show them that there's a better way to live life than what you see outside your front door. That's what I tried to give my children when I was raising them. I raised them in Baltimore City, the inner city communities, more, low income community. That's where they was born. But I tried my best to get them out of that neighborhood every chance I got. And then when I got with my partner who became my spouse, I moved them into an area that was more fitting to them, where they can see that life is not only what you saw there. It can be here and even better, even moving further along down the road. You will see that again, you can become better. It can keep on becoming better as long as you have the mindset and the know-how and the will and the love and the guidance that you need to help guide you. That's what I tried to give my babies. And I pray that I was successful with this. We all want to make mistakes in life. And let's hope that we try to learn from each mistake that we make so we can teach the next generation. So in closing, I'm going to leave you with this again. This is my personal quote that I said, I know, a few episodes back. Let a smile feed your disappointment with intelligent insight. Meaning, even if the tough get tougher, don't let them see you sweat. Keep that smile on and keep it moving, because you know what you want. And you know that you're worthy to receive it. So go after it. That's my quote for today. So again, this is City Decoded. I am your host, Sophina Turner. I will see you next week. I bid you all a good day. And you have a good night as well.